Welcome to Business Casual. I'm your host, Nav Nanwa. This is a show where we profile the local business community, as well as shed some light on some of the key news and issues that are affecting the business community globally as well. To kick things off on this week's episode, I am joined by the chair of the MBOT NGEN Committee. That's the MBOT, the Mississauga Board of Trade, Mr. Saša Jurovicki. Saša, thank you so much for joining us here. We're just talking about it before we started the show in regards to the NGEN concept and how it's very, very prevalent in this day and age, being that a lot of young professionals are looking for avenues to network. But before we begin, there's probably some viewers being like, what is NGEN? So let us know, what is NGEN all about?
So what NGEN is it was a committee created by the Mississauga Board of Trade for young professionals under the age of 40.
Okay.
Now, not a hard set rule. We don't exactly have a bouncer at the door checking
You're not
IDs.
checking ID at the
No,
door?
of course. It was more to facilitate a lot of discussion and networking between not just young professionals, but entrepreneurs in the community. So the Board of Trade saw that there was a huge economic growth going on in Mississauga, and this is who was spearheading it. So they wanted to set up a committee where these people can connect and sort of find some kind of synergy between each other, and that's where we come in.
Excellent. Because I find that, and I'm in that age range of under 40. May not look like it, but it's great because I find that this generation, whether it's Gen Y or whether it's the millennials, whatever you want to call it, there's this need of wanting to interact with other like-minded individuals. But when it comes to the bigger cities like Toronto, sure, you have those mediums available to you. But when you go and take a view to the Peel region, it's sort of hard to really find these other like-minded individuals.
It is, and that's what we're striving to do, is build that connection between those types of individuals. Because even when you do a lot of the other interactions, like over social media, over email, it's not as personal. And it has a different vibe to it, as opposed to, when you shake that person's hand, you speak to them, and then follow up over email, phone call, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I'm now joined by the Hip Haus, which is an awesome collective of young professionals that are putting on just amazing networking events here in the community, events that are attended by over 1,200 people a month. And joining me to talk about these events in further detail, I have joined me Anish, Meira, and Hiran. Guys and gal, thank you so much for joining me here on Business Casual. Before anything, before we talk about what the Hip Haus is, I'm curious, how did this idea come about? Because, there's always networking events out there for young professionals. People are always looking for ways to meet new people. But I think you guys have really found a niche in making these networking events very different. And I guess, how did these events come about?
It actually started with us going to other networking events, but finding that disconnect and not being able to meet other young professionals, and seeing that necessity to meet others that are going through the same struggles that we were with our business.
Okay.
And it dawned on us that we should try throw an event out and see how many people would attend and what the feedback was.
Yeah.
So we planned very hard and used some of our marketing skills to promote the event. It turned out to be a really good event.
Yeah.
And the feedback was we want more.
Okay.
And so we started doing it on a monthly basis and figuring out ways to promote it better and grow the community. Essentially what we wanted to do was bring young professionals together to help each other out and grow their business, their careers, or just personal development.
So did it start initially very small, and then all of a sudden people just started filing in and more people started coming in, and all of a sudden you had 1,200 attendees a month?
Yeah, it wasn't right away. I guess it grew over time.
Yeah.
Word of mouth, that was probably one of our biggest factors.
Okay.
And we did a lot of marketing and promotions for each event.
Yeah.
From whether it's through Facebook or our website and networking as well.
Yeah. You guys just recently started doing monthly events in Mississauga. How have they been going so far?
They've been great, actually. They've been steady, to say the least. Really what we expected, being we did a lot of events in Toronto, I should say, and after doing those events, we sort of got a hang of the structure of the events.
Yeah.
So we start off small and slowly build on them until they grow big enough for us to say, okay, we did a good job here.
Yeah.
So we're sort of in the middle phase of it right now. It's grown to about 300 to 400 people per month. The Toronto one's still a lot bigger, but we hope to get there soon.
Well, especially since I find that the Mississauga young professional scene is very untapped right now.
Yes.
I just had the NGEN on, and we're talking about some of the similar topics around, how there is a need for young professionals to get together in the city, because a lot of them are commuting into Toronto, are going back home, living in Mississauga, and that's pretty much it. They're not having those opportunities to, again, to meet other businesses and other young professionals and to create those synergies, right? Yeah, so it kind of creates that issue. Meira, how did you get involved with the Hip Haus?
I actually attended the first event as a guest,
Oh, okay.
and then networked with Anish and Hiran, and then joined the company actually the month after. So I watched the progression over time, and it's been phenomenal just watching it grow in front of my eyes. So
It seems that everybody wants to be an entrepreneur these days. It seems that being an entrepreneur is probably the most attractive job for a lot of young professionals, as well as a lot of professionals who've had extensive experience in different industries. But is entrepreneurship for everyone? That's the question we want to answer here today on Business Casual. And joining me, I have an elite panel of individuals, all with a plethora of experience in the entrepreneurial field. Starting off with Ash Menon, who is a business consultant for various companies in the Peel region, various entrepreneurial ventures, as well as joining him to his left is past CEO of the Brampton Board of Trade, as well as experienced entrepreneur. He's owned many companies, Mr. Steve Shields. And last but not least, he's very familiar on social media. He's somebody that runs the Detailing Nights business, Ryan Knight. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me to talk about this topic. Normally, when people do these kinds of segments on entrepreneurship, it's glorifying entrepreneurship. And I want to do that too. But I also want to talk about some of the struggles and some of the realities. Because, one stat I do want to quickly put out there is, according to Industry Canada, there's a number of entrepreneurial ventures that start a year, but only about 51% last about 5 years, which is very thought-provoking. And, I think we'll just start all the way to the very end. Ash, simple question, is entrepreneurship for everyone?
It could be. I'll never say no.
Yeah.
But no, I have to say no, it's not for everyone. I'm not going to mention my wife, but I just it really comes down to how you think about life, business, what you want to do. Do you want to work for someone, or do you want to work for yourself? Right? And that drive will push you in the right direction. You'll probably stumble. But that's really all I can say in that sense.
Steve?
Well, I think it is for most people, but first you have to ask yourself, what's an entrepreneur? And an entrepreneur is someone who gets three things right. The first thing they get right is they discover a gap or a need somewhere in, perhaps in technology, but they discover a business need. The second thing they do is it's all about timing. You have to get that idea to market at the right time. And then the last part of it, of course, is building the right brand around yourself. So it's a special individual that can try to get all those things happening.
Ryan, speaking of needs, Detailing Nights, how did you find that need to really pursue this business?
Yeah, for me, it's not so much finding that unique unicorn need. It's like you don't have to have the mothership. You can just be that shuttle that piggybacks the mothership and makes a great living out of it. And I really do feel like anybody can have a side hustle. And a lot of times, it might not be for everybody, but the only way you'll know is if you give it a chance. And a lot of times, especially with youth, they're just seeing all the glorified entrepreneurs and they're like, oh yeah, I can never be a Steve Jobs, I can never be a Mark Zuckerberg. But you don't have to be so elite. You can just have a 100, 200K type business and be making a great living. Like that's what Canada's economy is built on.